Assalamualaikum, and my name is Nurliana Fatim Mazlan. My metric number is 281585, and today I'm going to present to you guys about the education rights of the indigenous children. Moving on to the introduction part, I would like I would like to question to you guys. Do you know how many indigenous children that live in the rural areas do not have the opportunity to get a proper education? For your information, there are many of them. Educational opportunity for students living in urban and rural areas are very different because there is factors that affect these to happen. And the main thing that always pop out in my mind is where did all the parties who promised to ensure and defend rights of the indigenous children to receive a proper education go? Where are they? Although they are left much behind from others, but still, their rights should be called attention to. We should discuss whether the current law is capable or not to protect the fate of indigenous children to receive education. The objective of this legal issue is to discuss the factors that cause education for indigenous children to be stunted and to defend the educational rights they are supposed to receive to ensure a bright future. In order to achieve this objective, we should work harder to ensure our country have enact a specific law for the indigenous children. Moving on to the next point, which is problem statement. Study found that education problems among indigenous students need to be improved to a higher level. This is because they drop far behind from other children in our country, and the main problem that they face is in obtaining a quality education. Everyone can receive education, but is it quality? Is it good? Is it useful for them? Moving on to the next slide, which will discuss about the factors contribute to education problems. The first one is remote settlement. No schooling facilities such as chairs, tables, maybe the school, the building itself, poverty, transportation, parental attitudes, indifference of the relevant entities, and many more. Actually, there are a lot of factors that contribute to this problem, but I will just list out few of them. So these are the examples of scenario or pictures that shows the situation faced by the indigenous student in receiving education. As you can see, their building, the school is made of bamboo. Just imagine how it is heavy rain over there and how can they study with this kind of situations. And can you see that they don't have school uniform? Okay, this is due to the fact of poverty. They don't have enough table and chairs. So these are examples that shows the situation faced by the indigenous students, and it is so sad to see that children in a urban area are able to have a good surroundings and good facilities of schooling life, but it goes the other ways round for the indigenous children. So there are a few act or law that we would like to discuss here that talk about the indigenous students here, although it is not specifically mentioned. The first one to be discussed is federal constitution. The federal constitution does not specifically refer to the educational rights of the indigenous people, but it is stated in Article 12 that right with respect to education, there should be no discriminations against any citizen solely on the grounds of religion, race, descent, or birthplace. So any kind of races, Malay, Chinese, Indian, Ivan Kadazan, anything, they are free to have education and they have rights for education. Moving on to the next act, which is Indigenous People Act 1954 in a bracket Act of 134. It is stated in Article 17 that Aboriginal people should not be barred from entering school. There is no Aboriginal children can be prevented from going to any school unambiguously because he is Indigenous people. So we don't have rights to bar them from entering school just because they are indigenous children, just because they don't have fully completed facilities or need like school uniform, so they can enter the school. Okay, it's not like that. Okay, any person who acts in violation of this section is deemed to have committed an offence and can, on conviction, be fined not exceeding 500 ringgit. So if you doesn't love your money, feel free to bar the indigenous student from entering the school. The next is going to be Universal Declarations of Human Rights 1948. It states that basic education is a must to make mandatory and given without any charge. Article 26, bracket 1 say that everyone have the right to get a proper education. Lessons should be given for free at least in early and fundamental stages. Do you realize how important it is to have a basic and the fundamental stages of education? Without early and fundamental stages in education, it's really hard to further to a higher level of education. Yeah? How can you just imagine that you don't even know numbers or know alphabet? How can you learn to the more more higher level, okay, complicated level, complicated. And next is Article 29.2. Education should be aimed at the full development of positive human beings and towards further strengthening the respect for rights and freedom human rights. The last one will be United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People 2007. This document discusses indigenous rights worldwide, estimated at 370 million of people, where Article 14 stated that indigenous people have the right to establish and control their education system and institution, providing education in their own language in a manner appropriate to their culture, methods of teaching and learning, while Article 15 say that have the right to the dignity and diversity of their culture, traditions, histories, and aspiration, which shall be appropriately reflected in education and public information. From all this law that I have discussed before, the what can be analyzed that all the acts are only reasonable to certain circumstances only because it is okay, the law was really general and it is not specific or specially made for the indigenous student but to all of the children in our country. Okay, and the second thing that I can analyze that there is an act saying that the fundamentals of education should not be charged, but there is still charges for education fee. Okay, as you can see, the law has been made a long time ago. Okay, it is before I was born, but during my time, there is still school fee charges. Okay, for the school. And the third one, there are many acts was declared a long time ago, but why it why it is does not apply to the children, okay, to the one who really facing poverty, okay, which they are unable to pay the fee for entering the school. Findings. Okay, what can I find overall after all research that I have done about this topic is I found that the enrollment of indigenous students who attended primary school from 1997 to 2013 show an increase every year. However, the trend of the school student is still categorized as unsatisfactory because the number of increased students is not much. It doesn't reach the limit that it's supposed to be. And there are various articles and other sources similar to it that discuss the educational rights of indigenous students in our country. As we can see that how important it is until people can write or make a research, okay, news, okay, it is to open our eyes, okay, to pay more attention to the indigenous children. The source found is not written without any interest, but aims to get the attention of the parties involved to resolve this issue. Okay, it just not simply being right on the social media, on the news, okay, on newspaper and so on. Okay, it is to make changes, okay, for the indigenous children life. Suggestion or recommendation that I would like to give is the first thing is we have to enact new laws, okay, which is specifically mentioned about the indigenous students so that there is special law that can be referred, okay, to uphold their rights in receiving a quality and good education. So this is the responsibility of the parliament to make a good law for the indigenous student. And the second one is government volunteer bodies. Okay, government volunteer bodies, they look after the welfare of the community, especially the less fortunate families. But they should offer more volunteers in the aspect of education, as most indigenous students are lack the aspect of education. It is good to give a helps in types of food, water, and so on. But you have to see, okay, which things, which factors that needed by the indigenous people in order to help they improve their education, okay, in the future. So in a conclusion, everyone have the right to have an education from young to old people or to help in giving education to those children, especially the indigenous student. However, it's not going to work well without any law. Everyone knows that the presence of law is to uphold justice and equality of people. We as a knowledgeable adults should help all children, especially indigenous children, to uphold their rights in receiving a proper education at the early stage. That's our responsibility now. So do it now or you will regret later. Thank you very much for this presentation, and I would like to wish thank you for my lecturer, which is Prof. Madia Dr. Anita. Thank you very much and see you again. Bye.